Eyes on Longmont, offering a diversity of topics about our community that will inform and entertain you. We invite you to sit back and enjoy this edition of Eyes on Longmont.
Thank you and happy anniversary, PFLAG Boulder County. The work you have done over this past quarter of a century has saved many a life and many a family. We are grateful for all you have done over these many years and thankful for what you do today.
Hey there, PFLAG. On behalf of the Community Foundation and the Open Door Fund, it's my privilege to congratulate you on 25 amazing years of service to the LGBT community. You know, when I think of what's really moved the needle over those 25 years, it feels to me like the work that you've done, the support that our parents provide for us is what really has made the difference. I congratulate you on your anniversary and I thank you for your support.
PFLAG Boulder County, what a great name. I'm a fan of PFLAG. I think PFLAG is probably across the nation is a gateway place for families who suddenly have found out or been told by a child that I'm gay. To me, that's, for the rest of us, is an opportunity to be an ally and to be supporting of that kind of environment and the good that it does. And I have appreciated that, appreciated doing it for 15 years. Thank you.
Greetings from Quebec, Canada, Gatineau Park. I wanted to tell everybody how important PFLAG has been to the Boulder community. When I'm not off doing ski races, I'm enjoying the high quality of life we have because of organizations like PFLAG. PFLAG gave me the Gene and Jack Hodges Big Hearts Award many years ago, and ever since then I've had the annual garden party just to tell them how much I appreciated that award. Thank you so much.
Come in, we're so glad to see you. There's a place here just for you, where it's bright and warm. Come in, come in. We've been waiting.
My name is Glenda Russell, and it's my honor to extend a warm welcome to all of you as we embark on this celebration of Boulder County PFLAG's 25th anniversary. Happy birthday, PFLAG! We stand on quicksand when we do not know our history. For any single individual, history offers a sense of continuity with the past, and it also serves as grounding for the future. For a collective, history does this and more. It reveals possibility as well as pain. Knowing where we have been sheds light on where we can go and where we want to go. We are never far from history. Someone once said, "History isn't dead, it isn't even over." If you think that is not true, then consider the strength of feelings that people have about Confederate monuments in places such as, Charlottesville, Virginia. Today is a celebration of PFLAG's 25 years in Boulder County. In this section of tonight's program, we want to offer some of the highlights and a few of the lowlights of events in the LGBTQ and allied community during that time. It has been an amazing journey, so we obviously cannot cover it all. Amazing though it has surely been, LGBTQ people and allies were living in and active in Boulder County before PFLAG was here. In this historical prologue, I will be joined by the talented and creative Patty Jackson. Let's look at a bit of that pre-PFLAG local history. Some of it has been kept rather under wraps, shall we say. I won't tell you the details about the nationally famous children's book author who lived with her partner of many years in the mountains just west of Boulder. This author, in her oral history, describes her decades of living in the area in the same second-person plural, all through her oral history. We lived here, we traveled there, but she never names who we is. Or there were two women who lived together for their entire career as teachers at Boulder High School, never revealing the nature of their relationship to anyone outside their immediate family. However, anyone who has seen the photographs of these two women and the loving looks that passed between them would not for a moment doubt the nature of their relationship. Or there was the city council member who was gay and who wrote voluminous journals about that and other aspects of his life, everything from going to council meetings to emptying the dishwasher, and I kid you not. But it was only in the face of his impending death that he shared the journals with others. It is not a surprise that many of the earliest residents of the area who were what we would now refer to as gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, or queer chose to live their lives in the closet. That was, after all, an adaptive strategy for people whose sexual orientation and gender identity could have caused them to lose jobs, children, social standing, well-being, and sometimes their very lives. But times change. People come out, as happened in Boulder in the early 1970s, a time of great social upheaval, what with the burgeoning civil rights movement, another round of the feminist movement, a rebellion against the war in Southeast Asia, and an influx of hippies into Boulder. Into this mix came a vibrant organization that included people on and off campus, the Boulder Gay Liberation Front, or GLF. Suddenly, Boulder's City Council had a new look, women as well as men, imagine that. An African-American mayor, young as well as middle-aged and older members, even a young, long-haired member of a collective that owned a bookstore on the hill. And he also was gay, but very few people knew that Tim Fuller was gay at that time. In 1974, GLF approached members of Boulder's City Council to consider including sexual orientation in the city's newly proposed Human Rights Ordinance. The African-American mayor, Penfield Tate II, and Tim Fuller championed a section of the ordinance that would have made it illegal to discriminate on the basis of sexual orientation. The whole city we're talking about here, went up in flames By the time it was all over, the voters of Boulder had totally shut down the idea of including sexual orientation in the Human Rights Ordinance. Not satisfied with that victory, shall we say? Some Boulderites instituted a recall campaign against Mayor Tate and Councilmember Tim Fuller. Tate survived the recall, barely, but when he ran for council again, he was defeated. He literally lost his political career to being an ally for queer rights. Tim Fuller was recalled, and he left Boulder not long after that. Now, were you wondering why it was that so many LGBT folks in Boulder were in the closet during those days? Not that there weren't pockets of support. Besides Mayor Tate and a few other members of council, at public hearings on the ordinance, among untold numbers of religious bodies that objected to protections based on sexual orientation, 2 faith groups took a supportive stand. One was the Friends meeting, the Quakers. The other was the Unitarian Church in Boulder, whose speaker at the public hearing not only supported covering sexual orientation in the ordinance, but offered to work with any heterosexuals who were trying to undo their homophobia. It was an early example of allies accurately locating the source of the problem faced by LGBTQ people, and that problem, of course, was the bias that existed upon other heterosexuals.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light you see, now I won't be afraid, no I won't be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me, oh stand by me, oh stand by me, stand by me.
The divisions about the ordinance had barely receded when a new eruption took place. This was in 1975. The county clerk, a young woman named Clela Rorex, who is right over here, upon the advice of County Attorney William Wise, issued 6 marriage licenses to same-sex couples. She stopped when ordered to do so by the Colorado Attorney General. This uproar ended the attention of people from near and far. Even Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show had a joke about it. Yes, it was a joke in those times.
Da 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 da. Here's Johnny.
Not long afterward, Clela left town. It was difficult to be such a visible ally in Boulder in those days. Skipping to 1982, Colorado had its first person to be diagnosed with AIDS. That was the beginning of organizing and activism to provide various forms of assistance to people with AIDS in the face of official indifference. Without benefit of help from most formal institutions that might have been able to step in, LGBTQ people and their allies came together as a community to develop extensive programming to help people living with AIDS. Many of them, notably BCAT, continue to do this important work.
I'm thinking about the ones who aren't here and won't be coming in late. Home all alone and the family, and won't be coming out tonight. Wish I could know all the lovers and friends kept from gathering. I think of you now, the ways you could go, we're all of us refugees. So let's pass a kiss and a happy sad tear and a hug the whole circle round, for the ones who aren't here, for the hate and the fear, for laughter, for struggle for life. Let's have a song here for you and for me, the love we can't hide. And let's have a song for the ones who aren't here and won't be coming in tonight.
In 1987, a young lesbian, Kat Morgan, decided that Boulder really should have that non-discrimination ordinance after all. So Kat went to some friendly council members to request that they put forth such a motion. The council members suggested that the young activists go to the library and check out what had gone down in Boulder in 1974. Fearing that history would be repeated, no council member was willing to take this on. So Kat and a group of lesbian friends did it themselves.
Here come the lesbians, here come the leaping lesbians. We're gonna please you, tease you, hypnotize and try to squeeze you. We're gonna get you if we can. Here come the lesbians. Don't go and try to fight it, right or what and try to hide it. We want your love and that's our plan. Here come the lesbians. Don't look in the closet. Who's creeping down the stairs? Who's slipping up behind you? Watch out, better beware.
These young lesbians collected enough signatures to put the issue on the ballot and ran a campaign to encourage voters to support it. The ballot measure passed by under 300 votes.
Can everybody say, it's about time?
The stories in this prologue reveal an important aspect of Boulder queer history. Defeats give way to victories, which give way to more defeats, and then to more victories. It is an up and down journey, to be sure. Contrary to what you might have heard, however, queer history is not one step forward and 2 steps back. It's more like 1 step forward, a step back, and then we do the 2-step. This next part of the prologue gets closer to and actually paves the way for the origins of PFLAG in Boulder County. Imagine that we're hearing swelling music portending danger in the background. Out of the music came 2 words.
Amendment 2.
In 1992, the voters in Colorado voted to enact Amendment 2, a popularly initiated amendment to the state's constitution that would have effectively legalized discrimination against lesbian, gay, and bisexual people. The vote on Amendment 2 was preceded by a year-long campaign in which LGBT people were subjected to stereotypes, lies, and sometimes outright threats. In fact, hate crimes were on the rise.
The evil empire has crumbled of late. Some need a replacement for their fear and their hate. Now they need another group that they can despise, a group that makes them feel that God's on their side. We stand before you and we sing against hate and against intolerance that is infesting our state. Please sing this song with us and sing it with pride. Hate is not a value that God would abide.
Colorado voters endorsed the anti-LGBT Amendment 2 by 53% of the vote. The state was left divided. Many LGBTQ people and some allies were left shattered by the knowledge that their neighbors had voted to say it was fine to discriminate against queer people. History, however, did not stop on that fateful day, November 3rd, 1992. LGBTQ people and allies fought back in many ways. Here, the music should be changing. And we will segue into singing one of the songs we sang a lot in those days.
I'm hoping you will sing along with us. It's called Singing for Our Lives. We are gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives, and transgender and queer also.
Thank you. A million things happened at once to fight against Amendment 2 and the attitudes it represented. A legal suit went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Groups were organized throughout the state. Educational efforts were underway. Queer people were coming out. Heterosexual people were finding ways to be good allies. It was in the middle of all of this resistance that Boulder PFLAG was born. It was 1993, and that is what we are celebrating here today. It is only fitting that Gene Hodges, one of the early PFLAG members and currently the president of National PFLAG, pick up the history at this point.
We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes.
Creating and building PFLAG in the midst of the aftermath of Amendment 2 required vision and courage. Fortunately, there were people who had the requisite vision and courage. A central organizer of PFLAG in Boulder was Sandy Ziegler.
One October day in 1992, I had a call from my daughter Carrie, who was away at college at the time. Any call was an unusual occurrence. That one was even more so. "Mom," she said, "it's National Coming Out Day." I was shocked, even though I'd had some suspicion. We continued to talk, and I remember two sentences especially. One was, "But Mom, it's not a choice," with agony in her voice. The other was, "Mom, call PFLAG." I didn't know what it was. Paul and Carolyn Hood were at First United Methodist Church at the time, and fortunately, they did know. I advertised to see if anyone in Boulder was interested in starting a PFLAG. I received a lot of enthusiastic responses, enough so that we could start a chapter. With the help of Tom and Eleanor Llewellyn from Denver PFLAG, we organized and had our first meeting in the parlor of FUMC in February of 1993.
While conservative religion was a signal feature of the movement against LGBTQ rights in Colorado, as elsewhere, Other faith communities became allies to LGBTQ people in their efforts to secure the simplest of rights in faith communities. PFLAG saw that many LGBTQ people had been alienated from their faith communities as well. Through the help of the Open Door Fund, PFLAG sponsored the national touring exhibit, The Shower of Stoles, and a weekend of progressive speakers to demonstrate that some faith communities were welcoming to members of the queer community.
Will you be my refuge, my haven in the storm? Will you keep the embers warm when my fire's all but gone? Will you remember and bring me sprigs of rosemary? Be my sanctuary till I can carry on, carry on, carry on. You can rest here in Brown Chapel with a circle of friends, a quiet grove of trees, or between two bookends. Will you be my refuge, my haven in the storm? Will you keep the embers warm when my fire's all but gone? Will you remember and bring me sprigs of rosemary? Be my sanctuary till I can carry on, carry on, carry on.
Reverend Claire Childress was but one member of the local clergy who was active in extending a welcome to the LGBTQ people and their allies. Rosalie Blake will read the words that Claire prepared for this anniversary.
In a more perfect world, the church would be the standard bearer for a society which is more just, more inclusive, more daring, and more generous than the one we have come to tolerate as acceptable. Most religious traditions profess to follow the call of the holy ones who challenge us to live lives of justice and righteousness, shalom and grace. Yet too often, the church is bringing up the rear in these matters, and we can look to an organization such as PFLAG to model for us the community that we envision. With its invitation and welcome to all who seek a place of safety, of reassurance, of acceptance, of unconditional love and hope, PFLAG is a lifeline. First United Methodist Church of Boulder is fortunate to have hosted many PFLAG gatherings over the years. With gratitude and renewed commitment, may we continue to strengthen and encourage one another for all that yet may be.
The testimony you just heard from a former pastor at a Boulder church represents a demonstration that people and institutions can and do change. Years before, that same church had fired a youth minister who came out when he announced that he was gay. The youth minister was Julian Rush. After being fired from the church, Julian went on to lead the Colorado AIDS Project. He was also a writer of sacred songs, including the following, which we dedicate to Julian Rush.
In the midst of new dimensions, in the face of changing ways, who will lead the pilgrim people wandering in their separate ways? God of rainbow, fiery pillar, leading where the eagles soar. We the people, ours the journey, now and ever, now and ever, now and evermore.
The spiritual battering that so many LGBTQ people have taken was severe enough that PFLAG devoted some of its energies to bringing in national speakers who addressed these matters. Among them was Dr. Bob Miner, an ordained minister and a professor of religious studies at the University of Kansas. And Dr. Miner will join us by video.
Congratulations, Boulder PFLAG, on 25 years of doing this great work for LGBTQ people. And thanks for including me twice in 2004 and 2014, especially to work with faith communities. You know Jean Hodges. She invited me and I said, well, make sure when you have me there, fill up my time. And you know that's exactly what she did. So congratulations again. Keep up the great work. And don't forget that old rabbinic saying, if you have a dream that can be fulfilled in one lifetime, it's too small.
And Bob also sent us a whole packet of pamphlets that he will be out at the PFLAG table. And it's about how to avoid burnout in social activism. You might like to pick one up. In addition to a new PFLAG chapter in Boulder, as well as many others across the state, the aftermath of Amendment 2 saw organizing on many fronts, including the literary front. Louise Knapp and Spider Kornblith opened a feminist LGBTQ liberation bookstore in Boulder called Word Is Out. The bookstore served as the de facto queer community center in Boulder for many years. Also, in the aftermath of Amendment 2 came organizing elsewhere, in places both expected and unexpected. Ann Guilfoyle, Karen Rayforth, and Candy Hyatt, along with Susie Pringle, were among the organizers in the community. Ann Guilfoyle worked at Boulder County Public Health as an adult health program manager. Her work included AIDS prevention, and OASIS, the programming for LGBTQ youth, was started as a strategy for AIDS prevention.
In 1991, a gay man who worked for the City of Boulder Youth Services suggested there be a focus on gay youth in our AIDS prevention work. We applied for funding, and fortunately, the program officer who made a site visit was a gay man. We did our best to look less governmental and more community-based, with people like John Hoffman and Barb and Don Adams from Longmont PFLAG at the meeting. We got the grant and hired a staff person. A publicity plan included putting Bert and Ernie quarter pagers in LGBT library books. County printing refused to print them. Oops. That raised alarms for a nervous Democrat commissioner who was up for re-election. Develop protocols. Done. Form a coalition of agency supporters, of which Candy's program was one, to share the liability. Done. Wait to start the program till after the election. It was 1992. Amendment 2 provoked horrific anti-gay rhetoric. Youth needed support more than ever. My response? The coalition wanted to know, why isn't the group starting? And I don't have an answer. I showed a front page camera story about a gay group picketing a coffee shop. And I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the coalition would be picketing. Which risk would the commissioner prefer? Well, we started the OASIS program about 2 months or more before the election, and it was not a media event. The first week, we had a handful of kids come. Every week, more and more came, until there were routinely 60 to 70 kids coming every week.
Karen Rayforth was a psychologist who worked at Counseling and Psychological Services at CU. In addition to a whole host of organizing at CU and beyond, Karen was a member of both the Chancellor's Task Force on GLB issues and the inaugural Chancellor's Standing Committee on gay, lesbian, bisexual issues. Karen?
While there are GLBTQ actions at CU before Amendment 2, the campus climate generated by the amendment was toxic. Chancellor Corbridge chose Law Dean Jean Nickel, a steadfast ally, to lead a task force to evaluate and make recommendations. Every recommendation was implemented under the leadership of newly out Dr. Joanne Arnold and the Chancellor's Standing Committee on GLB issues. They worked hard with allies and queers across campus, and in 1995 launched what is now called the Gender and Sexuality Center. This was followed by student health insurance and family housing for domestic partners, a GLBT Alumni Association, a certificate on GLBT studies and scholarships, and much, much more. In 2001, the Regents finally approved sexual orientation as part of the university's non-discrimination policy, and later, same-sex benefits for faculty and staff. It took commitment, leadership, and courage of the queer and straight employees and students to untangle the web of heterosexism and lay the foundation of the continuing work on campus today to deepen and broaden inclusion.
Candy Hyatt, whom many of us knew as Candy Thompson back in the day, was a teacher and administrator in Boulder Valley Schools. She was also a great ally. Susie Pringle worked with Candy on a grant-funded program whose aim was substance abuse prevention. Candy and Susie placed consistent emphasis on the higher rates of substance use among LGBTQ youth, and their programming reflected that. Oh, and Susie came out on Monday after Amendment 2, and probably was the first out openly lesbian school teacher in the Boulder Valley schools. She'd be with us today, but she's on a cruise. Candy Hyatt joins us to read a description written by Susie. It describes some of their work together in the Boulder Valley schools.
She'll pay for this being on that cruise, I'll tell you. In the 90s, I had the privilege of working in the Boulder Valley Schools Substance Abuse Prevention Project Office with Candy Hyatt, who's a brilliant mentor and ally. We were in a unique position to impact a lot of students, parents, staff, and others in the community. Because gay youth are one of the highest risk groups, not only for substance abuse, but for suicide, dropping out, and even teen pregnancy, we were able to target a variety of efforts toward helping them. The SAP office was also assigned to oversee the health curriculum. Candy decided that another prong of our efforts would be to get homosexuality included in the health education curriculum. We first met with then Superintendent Dean Damon behind closed doors, and we got his blessing. All went swimmingly until the final approval reading at the school board meeting. Somehow, word got out to the religious right community. They sent messages and flyers asking constituents to show up at the board meeting, and over 100 people came. There was a very tense, charged energy in the air. The religious folks' talking points were that they weren't prejudiced, and they didn't want gays to be discriminated against, but they didn't want homosexuality legitimized or even talked about in health classes. Suddenly, reacting to all of the negative things that were being said, Stu, a gay boy from Oasis, supported by the presence of the brand new PFLAG board, kissed his friend. A woman started screaming, "Oh my God, there are homosexuals here." Stu swished up the aisle. A man from the crowd got in his face, and chaos ensued. Susie did not include in here that she got between them. Security was called, and the board recessed to a private room. Candy and I were invited in to meet with the board. They said they couldn't pass the health curriculum, but asked what we wanted. We said what we really wanted was to have students and staff protected, and that could be accomplished by including LGBT in the district non-discrimination policy. So, on the spot, we wrote a few sentences out, and the meeting was reconvened. The religious right people felt like they had won a victory, and they really didn't know what to say in response to the proposed change in the non-discrimination policy, so it passed. We also felt like we had won a surprising major victory that night in May of 1994. On a final ironic note, there was a formal, or maybe informal, understanding amongst middle school and high school health teachers in Boulder Valley that questions submitted anonymously by students or by teachers using disguised handwriting in the now famous sex ed question box would all be answered during class as long as they did not invade personal privacy or decency. And as a result, the topic most often asked about and discussed in many health education classes across the district related in some way to sexual orientation.
Join me in welcoming from the Denver Gay Men's Chorus, Off Kilter, Sam Eschleman and Kyle Bradley and Hayes Burton will sing Perfect by Pink.
Talk about yourself, you were wrong. Change the voices in your head, make them like you instead. So complicated, look how big you made it, filled with so much hatred, such a tired game. It's enough, I've done all I can think of, chased out all my demons, see you do the same. Oh, pretty, pretty please, if you ever
In the larger Boulder community, the City of Boulder adopted the Domestic Partners Registry in 1996. The same year, the Open Door Fund was started by the Community Foundation. The earliest board was composed of allies as well as members of the LGBTQ community. Some of the important efforts undertaken by the City of Boulder around this time were instigated by Dana D. of Walnut Cafe fame. Dana was a member of the city's Human Relations Commission. Her restaurant, still going strong with 3 around the county now, was a hub of the queer and allied community that welcomed everyone. Behind the scenes, the Nut supported the community in countless ways.
Hi, I'm Dana D. from the Walnut Cafe. Congratulations to PFLAG for 25 years of committed service to our community. I had the privilege of serving 8 years for the Human Relations Commission, and we did 2 things with your support. 1, we added gender variance to our Human Rights Ordinance, and 2, we were one of the very first domestic partnership registries in the country right here in Boulder, Colorado. So, a deep bow of gratitude to PFLAG and all of its members for all of the love and support.
In 1998, the Boulder Valley Safe Schools Coalition, with PFLAG as one of its founders, laid the foundation for work around sexual orientation and gender in Boulder Valley schools. They did this by becoming an advisory committee to the superintendent. In 1999, the City of Boulder caught up with the times and added gender identity to its Human Rights Ordinance. PFLAG Boulder got involved in trans issues relatively early when a brave family approached PFLAG about their child. They began teaching us all about the limits of how we've been thinking about gender. Karen Boltz tells the story of contacting PFLAG Boulder.
I noticed there was something different about Hallie at an early age. She only liked boy toys, she hated wearing anything feminine, and she refused to play with girls. In 1997, at the age of 3, she told us God had put her in the wrong body, and she was supposed to be a boy. We had no idea what she was talking about. By the age of 5, things got worse. Hallie became socially withdrawn. She couldn't sleep at night and spoke of a secret that she had with God, which I later found out was to commit suicide when she was old enough to get a gun. I quickly got her into therapy. After 6 weeks working with a therapist, we learned that Hallie was transgender. We didn't know what that was. After researching transgender and learning what it meant, I became frightened for Hallie's future. The stigma around transgender scared me, and it kept me from talking to anybody about our situation. In 2000, I finally opened up to a lesbian friend, and she asked me if I had called PFLAG, and she told me what PFLAG was. The next day, I called the hotline. With a lump in my throat, I uttered for the first time, "My daughter is transgender." The kind voice on the other end of the line told me about PFLAG and invited us to their monthly meeting for family support. Hallie transitioned socially at age 6. The following years were filled with efforts to educate teachers, doctors, clergy, and whoever would listen to our story. While some friends turned their backs on us, we always knew that we had a family in PFLAG. Our son grew up, and he graduated from college last year. He's a confident man, and he contributes generously of himself to his society. We are beyond grateful for PFLAG for their support of our journey.
You can be anybody that you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know that I will love you still. You can live by yourself, you can gather friends around, you can choose one special one. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. There are girls who grow up strong and bold. There are boys quiet and kind. Some race on ahead, some follow behind. Some go in their own way in time. Some women love women, some men love men, some raise children, some never do. You can dream all the day, never reaching the end of everything possible to you.
Other transgender young people quickly became involved. Among them was Cameron Whitley, who was PFLAG Boulder's first youth board member when he was a student at Fairview, if I remember. Centaurus, okay, Centaurus. Cameron?
I am honored to be here tonight to recognize an organization that has worked tirelessly to support LGBTQIA people in Boulder County for 25 years. Coretta Scott King once asserted that the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. If this is the case, then this is an exceptional community. I stumbled upon PFLAG 18 years ago when I was searching for validation and language to express my identity as a transgender teen. The members embraced me well before transgender was a mainstream term, before actress Laverne Cox graced the cover of Time magazine, and before bathroom bills were even a consideration. PFLAG gave me language, support for my family, and leadership opportunities. I served as the first youth member on the board. A year ago, I graduated with a PhD, and now I teach at Rutgers University and help run the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. I owe much of my personal and professional success to compassionate communities like PFLAG, which gave me the confidence to be myself, and for that, I am forever grateful.
PFLAG has continued its work with transgender people and transgender rights in recent years. That work has been multifaceted and impactful. Included in these efforts has been the creation of a video documentary called Faces and Facets of Transgender Experience. Nicole Garcia was one of the 19 persons that we interviewed in that film, and she speaks to us now.
Hi, this is Nicole. I want to congratulate Boulder County PFLAG for 25 years of incredible work. As a mental health counselor, I have sent many people to find support and community with PFLAG. I can't believe it was in 2010 that Faces and Facets came out. I still use that incredible video as a foundation of showing what love and support can do to help individuals blossom and bloom. Keep up the good work.
My definition of transgender has always been a person whose physical body, sex, does not agree with their gender identity, their how they see themselves, their picture of themselves in their head.
I could change my physical person to reflect how I felt more on the inside.
One of the questions I get is, how do you know you're a woman? I got to thinking about that. How does anybody know what they are? It just is.
When I announced that Cole was trans, their immediate reaction was, he's so young, how does he know? And, you know, I guess it's one of those things you just know.
She almost yelled from the back seat, like I'd finally asked the question she'd been waiting for me to ask all her life. She said, "Mommy, I am a girl."
There was times where I beat myself up and wondered, what did I do wrong? Why did I have a child that is born differently? What created this? What am I being punished? Or there was a lot of negativity.
Once you see the overpowering need that they have to be who they are, there comes a point where you just can no longer deny it.
You don't like pop a pill and then you're like now I'm a woman, and it's a process.
Service people are taught to say, "Thank you, ma'am," or "Thank you, sir." And it freaks them out if they can't do that. They start to get sweaty, they start to get scared, their eyes get big, they're like, what am I gonna do because I don't know whether to say ma'am or sir. You know, I'll just say thank you.
I'm like, well, Jen, it's like this. I'm really a woman. And she's like, you're gonna try and transition on the job? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, you really got balls. And I'm like, you know, Jen, that's the problem.
It was about making a full commitment to just be fully myself. Because after trying it for so long without being able to be fully myself, having to live my regular life as myself, and then get all dressed up as a boy to try to go to work, tuck my hair up under a boy wig and bind my breasts down because I didn't want to be revealed. So I had to live two lives, and you just really can't do that. It's a different kind of a closet, but a closet is a really unhealthy place to live, no matter what kind of closet it is.
Thinking really critically about how you want to walk through the world, you have to offer yourself a lot of grace.
I'm living the happiest days of my life right now.
I see my eyes looking at my face, being genuine every minute of the day.
I just feel complete as a person and don't have to hide anything anymore, and I'm just happy.
In more recent years, PFLAG has built collaborative relationships with many community groups. These collaborations have resulted in actions that promote the rights of LGBTQ people at many different levels, exemplifying PFLAG's triad of emphasis on support, education, and advocacy. We offer just a few examples. Other parents have made their way to PFLAG as well as to TIES, Transgender Youth Education and Support. Among them have been Vicki Klusik and Eric Klusik, who will tell their stories.
My name is Vicki Klusik. I'm a conservative Mormon from Utah. Just before my youngest child turned 16, I sat them down and asked them what they wanted for their birthday. And they said, "Mom, I'm a girl and I want hormone treatments." I'm in awe of the amount of courage that took to tell to me. It was probably the biggest shock of my life because I didn't know anybody who was transgender or who had a trans child. I didn't know anything about it. And my family did not understand. Fortunately, we found Dr. Caitlin Ryan's research online and the Family Acceptance Project. And we learned how important love and support is, and how even small behaviors and changes in behavior can have huge effects on outcome, like suicide risk. I remember one night, my child handed me a suicide note, and we spent the night in the ER, and that was a real low point. And I came to the realization that I could either lose my child or I could lose my prejudice. And between the two, I figured I could live without my prejudice. So PFLAG became our support. They were so welcoming. We found friends and allies that helped us to be better parents and better friends. And I am forever grateful to PFLAG, and I am in awe and so proud of my daughter.
I grew up as a conservative Lutheran in even more conservative Utah. And then I married my sweet conservative LDS wife, and we've been married for 29 years. We knew Christian gay people had honest struggles, but we totally didn't get the transgender people. We thought that transgender people simply had bad, crazy liberal parents who wanted the opposite gender child. But when it happened to our child, we realized we had to admit we were wrong. My first step was to talk to my pastor about it. He first told me, if your kid is able to talk to you about something this painful, you've done something right. And he recommended that I research the issue. The church secretary told me that her mom went to PFLAG when her sister came out as a lesbian. So PFLAG became a resource that I wanted to seek out. I found PFLAG and Ties together, and it was life-saving for me and my family. Figuring out how to unconditionally love and accept our daughter took an entire paradigm shift in my worldview. PFLAG was there. They helped me to move from a scared father to a person that could advocate for my child. I've worked with my extended family, in my church, both locally and nationally. I've also testified for LGBT positive legislation, and that change happened because of the people who worked with me in PFLAG and in Ties.
Change in the movement against prejudice and discrimination is never consistent or one-dimensional. As progress on LGBTQ issues continued to be made, it became increasingly clear that the city of Boulder was not really the center of the universe. And PFLAG decided to extend its welcome arms into the county more broadly. PFLAG joined our community collaborator, Out Boulder County, in establishing an ongoing presence in the county. We meet here today, for example, to celebrate our anniversary in Longmont, a town that has an Out Boulder County office, a thriving LGBT community, its own pride events, and a real sense of excitement about the future. And I should add that this church is one of the early open and affirming churches, and we're grateful to be here. These changes have opened up new learning possibilities for PFLAG as we have into the current era and hold our meetings at different venues around the county. Among the continuing emphases for PFLAG are the experiences of youth and teachers and staff in the schools, those who are LGBTQ and those who are allies. Barb Miller, everyone's favorite librarian, joins us with her inspiring story of being an ally.
I am an ally. In the fall of 2005, 5 LGBTQ teens in the U.S. died by suicide within 3 weeks. Some of them were just 12 years old, the same age as kids in my middle school. I wondered if any of them, as I walked the halls, if any of them were contemplating suicide. it really haunted me. So I went to the counselors and I said, we've got to start a gay-straight alliance. They told me that's only for high schools. I told them we better start one or some of our kids won't make it to high school. So I started a gay-straight alliance, and since we weren't allowed to use the word gay then, I called it Allies in Diversity. Who can argue with that? We grew from 10 kids to 150, 1/3 of the school. We started each meeting with questions and educated ourselves. I put stickers on LGBTQ books in the library, and I put stickers on them that said, steal this book or give it to a friend. Kids said to me, wait, you're a librarian who tells us to steal books? And I said, right on. We invited the Denver Gay Men's Chorus to sing at an all-school assembly, and it was the first time that they had ever been asked to a school. I helped 5 other middle schools start GSAs, and you too can be an ally. The power of one grows exponentially. Thank you.
Bethy Leonardi and Sarah Staley are the founders of A Queer Endeavor, a program aimed at instilling progressive social change in the schools. They are building on what the Boulder Valley Safe Schools established back in 1998, and it has grown into something now that we can be very proud of, A Queer Endeavor.
Our early work with Boulder Valley Safe Schools Coalition paved the way for the birth of A Queer Endeavor, which is an initiative housed in the School of Education at CU Boulder that we co-founded and co-direct. Our mission is to work in partnership with districts and schools to make unworkable the silence around gender and sexual diversity that has permeated education for too long. We are committed to supporting educators and school leaders to develop habits of heart and mind, and to take action to create safer classrooms and schools that disrupt normativity in all its forms. Bringing that commitment to life has involved developing inclusive and disruptive curriculum, implementing policy and practice at the district level, and pushing on social and cultural norms.
Over the past 3 years, we've worked with over 4,000 educators, both locally and nationally. Some of those, thanks. I was just getting there and y'all started clapping. Some of those educators are brand new to this conversation, and others embody identities that are front and center in this work. We've been humbled by these educators' deep commitments to honoring students' identities and to learning to change their everyday practices so that they may create more affirming learning environments in which gender and sexual diversity can thrive. It's not lost on us that A Queer Endeavor's success owes much of the legacy of PFLAG's work in the Boulder Valley community. We're grateful for the opportunity to extend that legacy and to work in collaboration with folks who are on the ground trying to make this community safer and stronger.
Your children are not your children. They are the sons and the daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but they are not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. You can give them your love, but not their thoughts. They have their own thoughts. They have their own thoughts. You can house your bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in a place of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You can strive to be like them, but you cannot make them just like you. Strive to be like them, but you cannot make them just like you.
PFLAG continues to change the world through support, education, and advocacy. PFLAG's mission and work are enhanced by an increasing emphasis on intersectionality an emphasis rooted in the recognition that none of us is free if all of us are not free. PFLAG's membership includes people who have been in Boulder for years, as well as newcomers. The need for PFLAG support shows up in many ways. Raga Gopalakrishnan and Missy Ashton were both newcomers when they found their way to PFLAG.
During the fall of 2013, I came to PFLAG Boulder County with a broken heart, having just come out to my Indian parents.
Closer.
PFLAG helped me immensely to heal the broken pieces with the unique living glue of love and support. I have spent the last 2.5 years back in India, where I mingled with local LGBT support groups. There, I witnessed the ongoing struggle of gay and lesbian people who simply want to live without fear of legal or cultural persecution. Challenges may differ around the globe, but the spirit of perseverance, the yearning for equality, and the courage to be authentic are exactly the same. PFLAG's unconditional love and support truly transcends geography.
Before I moved to Colorado 3 years ago, I belonged to a church whose mission calls us to service to our community. I knew many of the struggles that underserved populations face, but it wasn't until one of my own children came out as transgender that I became fully aware of the unique issues that are surrounding the LGBTQIA+ community. I can clearly see the need for allies, for folks with privilege to speak on behalf of and create space for the voices of our LGBTQIA+ friends and family. I believe in the mission of PFLAG in Boulder County. When we work together to create safer spaces, to change the hearts and minds of those in power, and to work toward political change, we make our communities healthy and strong. This is why I joined the board of PFLAG in 2017, to ensure allies have a place to be part of the solution in a world where acceptance and equity are not universal. Thank you.
Before we move to videos on allyship made by young people in Boulder County, we want to ask Phoenix, Colorado's trans community choir, to offer a song that is hopeful as these videos will be.
We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are dawning. We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are dawning. We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are dawning. We are the rising sun.
The multiple roles of allies across many forms of oppression are critical to the kind of world that PFLAG is committed to building. PFLAG recognizes the emergent hope in so many young people in particular who have been inspiring allies from many communities. That led us to invite young filmmakers to make short films about allies. Karen Boltz led the effort to screen these videos. Karen?
The Allies Unite video project was a call for students to produce a video that shows what it's like to be either bullied or an ally to somebody who's being bullied. The goal behind the project was to introduce a younger generation to PFLAG and also inspire conversations about allyship. PFLAG offered $100 awards to the 4 winning videos, 2 high school students and 2 middle school students. The students really put their hearts and souls into the project, and it was evident that they were passionate about such an important cause. PFLAG also had a screening of all 11 videos on February 10th, where we did announce the winners of the contest, and today we will be presenting them with a check. We'll do the videos first.
I gotta tell you guys something. I don't know if you're gonna be okay with this, but I don't like boys. I'm gay.
Hi, welcome to the GSA. Are you new?
What's GSA?
It's the Gay Straight Alliance.
Really? Sure.
Hey,
welcome to the GSA.
That wasn't nice.
So?
What do you mean so? How would you feel if that was you?
I don't care. They probably are.
How would you feel if that was someone you cared about?
Man, I guess you're right, huh?
That's right.
Yeah. Here you go. I'm so sorry. Are you okay?
Thank you. Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
I'm okay now.
You want to go eat for lunch?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good.
No Place for Hate is here to make Westy more of a family.
We promote kindness, unity, and help people feel supported.
If you want to join and help, we meet every Thursday in the library at 2:30 p.m.
We partner with MAPS, GSA, and mediators to create a safe community at Westy.
Somebody who sticks by your side when it's needed, or sometimes even when it's not needed. Looking out for someone. Although I'm not technically in the community, I'm still a part of it because I support it. You stand up for people who are being mistreated because they're in that community.
What does it feel like to have an ally, or what is the definition of an ally in your eyes?
L is like lesbian, G is gay, B is bisexual, T is transgender, and Q is queer, and the plus is for other things like that. But it's not what you're supposed to. It's actually just how they feel.
A feeling, an emotion of who you are, who you identify as.
Alright, so do you know what the LGBT plus community is?
No.
Alright, so it's the community of people who identify as gay or lesbian, bisexual, like transgender, all those people. How do you feel about those kinds of people?
Well, first of all, I don't know if I would know them, but if I would have known them, say it was transgender, I would be like, you are say it was a boy being a girl. You are a girl.
They're just like any other one of us. I mean, they just have one thing that makes them different. And that's not even different, it's just them being them.
You'll treat them like the person you respected or loved before they came out. You are the person who can make the decision to accept them or not, but they are the one who is brave enough to accept themselves. And I think most people don't understand the kind of courage it takes to say,
Wow. So those were the winning videos. And I will go ahead and let you know the names of the schools. And as I'm reading out the names, if you're here, if you could come up to get your check from Jean, that would be great. Westview Middle School, Allies Unite. Christy Kojensick. Westminster High School, No Place for Hate. John Kirk. Southern Hills Middle School, Stories of the Heart and Hope. Sydney Beek. Fairview High School, WIG, Claire Larson. Congratulations to all the student winners.
May I just make a plug to say that we're looking for someone who'd like to volunteer to have us continue this. We think this is only the beginning. We'd love to be able to do this annually in the schools and Safe Rain as well as Boulder Valley. It's a neat opportunity for PFLAG to be working with youth. So just putting it out there. As PFLAG moves into its next quarter century, it does so with an eye to continuing its emphasis on the intersection of many different social statuses, and with that, the need for continued collaboration and coalition building. The spirit is very much alive in this song from Phoenix, Colorado's trans community choir. We invite them up again to sing Another Sunny Morning, Another Black Man Killed.
Another sunny morning, I whistle as I get out of bed. Rub sleep from my eyes, look in the mirror, crooked grin to get through the day ahead. Confident and carefree, I have a life that's filled with certainty, but oh, the news I stop, retract, another black man killed, shot in the back by an officer with my skin. Just a thug, I shrug, must have deserved it.
My comfort is my security. My security is my comfort. My comfort is my security. My security is my comfort.
The news again. Who is it this time? High school football player cut down in his prime. Honor student looks innocent, leaving a party with his friends. Could have been me that weekend.
I wonder why he had to die. My comfort is my security. My security is my comfort. My comfort is my security. My security is my comfort.
On the street, we meet a young black man looking tough. I brace myself, ready to cross in case things get rough. As we pass by, reflected in his eyes, I see not rage but fear. How could he be afraid? I'm not scary.
Comfort is not safe, not for me and not for you. Your comfort is not safe, not for me and not for you. Sometimes what we're taught doesn't ring so true. How can you be afraid of me when I'm afraid of you? Sometimes what we're taught doesn't ring so true. How can you be afraid of me when I'm afraid of you?
He said I was just checking on you. And as he said that, I just broke down crying and I told him, I said I was so scared. But the positive spin is that he really was just a nice officer checking to see if I was okay. But the sad piece is that I shouldn't have had to feel this scared.
Sometimes what we're taught doesn't ring so true. How can you be afraid of me when I'm afraid of you?
Too many shots in the back, I wanna say that's not me. But why was he afraid of me? I thought of all those faces, the ones who pulled the trigger.
Is that what people see when they look at me? Your comfort is not safe, not for me and not for you. Your comfort is not safe, not for me and not for you. taken more than gave, quick to defend ourselves from the monsters in our minds and call ourselves brave.
Now I wonder, the founding fathers encircled by slaves, our history of violence, maybe we are the ones who are depraved.
Comfort is not safe, not for me and not for you. Your comfort is not safe, not for me and not for you. Our work of healing is necessary. We have listening to do. We have unlearning to do.
As we move into the future, we increasingly see the valuable role that young people play in changing the schools as well. One of the really exciting programs in Boulder County at this time is Youth Advocating for Change, a project of the OASIS program. YAC, as it may be called, is, in their own words, a group of sexual and gender diverse youth in Boulder County who work in partnership with other youth in Boulder County to change the cultural, systemic, and internalized oppressions that affect us. I am just so thrilled to be able to invite Skylar Stoltholm to represent that group today.
I'm a representative of the group Youth Advocating for Change, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what youth want and need and what we want to do to help them. The YAC is a collaborative youth activism group coming out of OASOS to address the issues that impact our peers across the Boulder Valley and St. Vrain Valley school districts. Through a year-long research project, we talked to many youth in this districts. We found incredibly mind-boggling data that speak to the experiences of youth in schools. For example, only 6% of LGBTQ students felt that they were being supported by educators, while educators felt that they were supporting students 100% of the time. Or that 67% of educators felt that staff education is required. This is especially prudent, given that many students related stories of harassment and microaggressive behavior. Although significant strides have been made regarding the inclusion and acceptance of LGBTQ students, a disparity remains in the accessibility of positive and safe environments of interaction between LGBT and non-LGBT students. The root seems to be rejection and uncertainty, which translates into a lack of support. Without support, it is impossible for LGBTQ students to have the communication they need to feel like included members of society. This lack of visibility and representation make it difficult for LGBTQ people in schools to identify safe spaces. That translates to experiences of rejection and uncertainty, and so the cycle continues. Here are just some of their stories. One non-LGBTQ student said, "I don't see any homosexual discrimination at all. I don't think I've ever heard a slur at my school that wasn't purely a joke." An LGBTQ student said, "It was really hard to accept myself when I wasn't feeling very accepted by the people around me." In response to the needs articulated by students, The YAC wants to support and supplement teacher trainings to be more inclusive and to deal with harassment. This is the campaign we're working on, and we'd like all the help we can get. To keep this progress going, let LGBTQ high school students or allies in your life know that we're always in need of members, or to sign up on our email list to keep abreast of any developments in our fight for inclusive schools. Thank you.
This was brought home to me even more poignantly, having you here, Skylar, after I watched TV and the young people in Washington and in Florida. Mark, this is the future, is it not? At this time, I would like to ask all the current PFLAG board members to please stand so we can express our appreciation. Now I'd like to ask, you can stay standing, because I'd like to add to those people anyone who has ever served on the PFLAG board over the past 25 years. And we have a couple of our co-founders here. So Jan Buchanan, yeah. And finally, I would like to know if there are members here. Over the years, we've had appreciation awards for people in the community who have, there are LGBT people as well as business people, legislators, just people that we think are strong allies and are pushing forward equality and acceptance. If you've ever received an award for PFLAG, for an appreciation, please stand. Yeah. Thank you. As PFLAG builds upon its first 25 years, it looks to the future and the work we still have to do in Boulder County, and indeed all over the country. Kimberly Jackson and Janelle DeBray are current members of the hardworking PFLAG board who would like to say a few words with slides before we close this program.
Clearly, I'm Kimberly. Do I have this right, Jean? Thank you. I'm a non-conforming lesbian mom of a gender-expansive child. I reached out to PFLAG when my son expressed to me that he wished he had been born a girl. And this came on the heels of him asking for everything in pink. And me saying, pink is for girls. Dresses are for girls. It wasn't shortly, too long after that, I reached out to PFLAG, and thankfully, like other people, there was someone on the other end of the line. That person in this room is Eleanor Hubbard, who picked up the phone and guided me through my journey. And I ended up on the board of PFLAG, and we created the Gender Expansive Fashion Show that will now be in its... Thank you, go ahead. So the third annual Gender Expansive Fashion Show happens on March 17th. That is St. Patrick's Day. There will be lots of rainbows and lots of green, and I hope you'll join us for that event. For more information about that event and other upcoming events, just come out and see us after the program at our tables.
We hope you leave here today with a bit more insight into the past and the present of our story. PFLAG has been woven into the history of Boulder County, and now it's up to us to write the next chapter. I challenge you to the same challenge I posed to myself June of 2016. For years prior to that day, I was content in between this place of best of intentions and action. Then I found myself glued to the faces of the 49 victims in the Pulse nightclub. It was then best of intentions went out the window. I chose action. Shortly after I sought out PFLAG, I especially wanted to be a part of a community that not only supported LGBTQ communities and individuals, but also supported the allies that stand beside us. We all have a different moment we choose to act. When is your moment? We are asking you today to be a volunteer with us. We will take any time or talent that you have. We also ask that you donate so that we can continue being a moving force in Boulder County. Right now, we're going to have volunteers pass plates. This is an opportunity to donate any cash or checks that you'd like. And please visit our table afterwards. We will have card transactions out there too. Thank you very much.
We wanted to end today's celebration of PFLAG Boulder with a song that captures the thrill of what we have been doing and the anticipation of the wonderful and inspiring work that is still ahead of us. And to echo Janelle's words, we all have a moment to choose when to act. Please welcome back the Denver Gay Men's Chorus, Off Kilter, to sing.
This is the moment, this is the day, this is the moment when I know I'm on my way. Every endeavor I have made ever is coming into play. And the moment are in rhyme. Give me this moment, this momentous moment. I'll gather up my past, make some sense at last. This is the moment. See it shine when all I've lived for becomes mine. This is the moment.